look at how to interact with the Sentry Advisor software. Everything from how to log in, view your sites, take a look at your trouble and alarm events, even your pump run data, and add different callout levels and people to your callouts. So first thing we're going to do, go up here to the menu bar, and you're going to type in www.sentry, S-E-N-T-R-Y, advisor, advisor.com. That's going to bring you to your login screen. This is not my current login, so we're going to change this. So I'm going to type in my user ID, which will typically be assigned to you by whoever set you up in the system, and your password. And we're just going to log in, and what will happen is it will populate all of your sites in tiles. So if you just have one pump station, you're just going to see one tile. If you have several like I do, you're going to see a handful of them. And this is what you're going to see. So this is color coded for your convenience. Green, like we see here on the house, this is good. This means the pump is operational to the best of our knowledge and that there are no current issues. Orange is going to mean that there's an issue, but it's not necessarily an immediate need. Could be something like a pump exceeded a run limit, or might have had a power failure at one point and came back on, and it just wants to let you know that there's something in there that you should maybe take a look at. And red would be something that typically would indicate we need a immediate attention. So we're going to look at this one first, and what you do is you actually hover over with your mouse, but you actually have to click right on the actual picture of the pump inside the square. When you click on that, it's going to open up this particular site for us, and we're going to see, depending on which panel we have the Sentry Advisor system operating on, this would be a basic panel. This is saying, pump running, high level alarm. This site here is connected to just a basic panel, so we're limited on what parameters we can see. The parameters we'll be able to see with a basic panel on the Sentry Advisor are pump running, high level alarms, power loss, and power restored. So if I go back to my dashboard, it's going to bring me back to the main screen. Now I can look, same thing, go to the house. I'm going to click on the pump, and again, this is going to populate for this site. And this one I know is on what we call the Protect Plus panel, so we have a lot more things that we can look at. So this would be just like standing in front of the panel at the LCD screen readout, and you'll be able to see that the pump is ready. It is not currently running, otherwise that light would be lit up. It is not currently in high level alarm, which is good. We don't have any current troubles. Buzzers, alarm lamp, all of that is currently the way we would want to see it. Maybe if the pump was running, this would be on, but obviously these other things would indicate that there's issues. So I can see that pump runtime, this is based off today's pump runtime information, has been 54 seconds. We've only cycled one cycle. Average runtime, obviously, in that case is going to be the 54 seconds, and based off our flow rate, that's 9.94 gallons that it has pumped out today. More important information is down here. We're going to see that we're currently supplying this panel with 233 volts, which is good. Last time the pump ran, we were at 5.7 amps. Again, that's a good thing, and that was 745 watts, which is definitely a good thing. Down here is where we can actually interact with each site. So we can click on Alarm Trouble Events, and this is going to bring up a history of all the alarms and troubles we've had here. Now on this particular site, I don't have any, but if I did, they would be listed here. And then also down here, this is where we can add alarm contacts. So right now this is blank. I'm going to show you how to set up a contact, and that contact can be set for several things. So you hit the little plus button there, and it drops down the menu, and it says, okay, what do I want a contact for? So I could have an alarm. That's going to tell me when the system goes into alarm. Typically, if you're going to turn that on, you're also going to want to turn on alarm cleared so that you know that it came back out of alarm. I could have a notification every time the pump turns on or shuts off. Excessive runtime means the pump's been running for longer than 10 minutes, or if you adjust that, it can be the parameter you pick. Same thing with pump 2 in this case, if you had a duplex pump station. Power lost, power restored, I really like using these. And then you can even get into troubles, delayed alarms, inactivity, a whole bunch of different things. But the four main ones for most people that I set up are alarm and alarm cleared, power lost, and power restored. So I'm going to start with alarm. I prefer text messages. I'm going to input the phone number that I want it to go to. And make sure that it's enabled and hit the check mark. And you'll see that's now listed down here as a call out event. And now I'm going to go back in and I have to go to alarm cleared. Pick the same communication that I want. And typically your number will automatically populate here after you do this a couple times, but maybe not, depends on your computer's settings. And hit check. Go back in to my power lost, which is down here. I would like to get a text to the same phone number. Check. And then I'm also going to want to be notified if the power goes out. Hopefully shortly thereafter I will get a power restored notification telling me that the power is back on. So these are the 4 that I normally use. Different people want different communications for certain things. These are the ones that I like. So now I'm all set adding those. I can actually go up here and I can just close out of this window. The other window I can go in and look at is historical pump information. So this is going to tell me every time the pump ran, how long it ran for, approximate gallons that were pumped during that run cycle. And once this comes up, I'll show you can actually look at that for today, which is what it's going to show us first. So today, again, as we saw, the pump had only ran once. And as I look down here, it's going to tell me, if I touch one of these, it'll tell me the average runtime was 54 seconds. That was at today at 11:19 a.m. and at that point it moved about 9.94 gallons. Now, if I wanted to look at a particular other day, I could select one day or I could select a date range. So I'm going to go back 2 weeks and hit refresh. So this is going to give me every pump run cycle for the last 2 weeks for this particular site. And again, it's going to take a minute to populate here. There we go. I can make this screen bigger. And we're going to see here that this is the pump run history for the last 2 weeks. So if I again pick any one of these, this was back on the 14th of July at 11:31 in the morning. The pump ran, and it ran for about 1 minute. And then you can actually go through and pick any of these, and you can actually turn these indicators on and off. So if I didn't care about the average run time or the flow rate, I just want to know the actual run times of each pump, then I can look at just that, or I can repopulate these. You also get this in a list format down below. So cycle counter starts at 0 for whatever date you chose. The first cycle of that date will be 0. And so I can look and say, okay, over the last 2 weeks I had 38 cycles on pump 1. And then again, it'll give me the date and time and run times of each of those cycles. If I had 2 pumps, it would also list pump 2 here, which I'll show you in my next site. And again, I can just hit the X up here, and that brings me back to the main screen. And then I hit the dashboard. Always brings me back to viewing all of my sites in the tiled format. So this site here I picked because it's got the orange. We can see what that indicates, and it's also a duplex pump site, meaning there's 2 pumps in the tank. Same screen layout. I can see that this pump has run for 1 minute and 41 seconds today. It's only ran 1 cycle, so obviously that's going to be our average in our last run time. And this pump ran approximately 18.58 gallons. Again, things I'm looking for of importance, 237 volts, which is good. The E1 pumps are 240 volts, so if we're looking at an E1 application, we want something give or take that 240 range. Amps, right now it's not drawing anything because it's not running. And again, I can go in and look at my alarm and trouble events, and in this case, because this site is orange, I would normally have something in here, but it's already been cleared at the site. And then historical pump data, like we talked about. You can come in here. And again, it'll take a second to populate. It's trying to recall all the history of this site. And when it shows, I'll show you on this one how you can see pump 1 versus pump 2 data. So here we go. So I'm not going to do too much of a time span because it gets very busy in here, because again, now we have runtime cycle for pump 1, runtime cycle for pump 2, average runtime pump 1, average runtime pump 2, flow rates for both. And again, you can toggle these on and off as you choose. But then down below, you're still going to have a list for pump 1 and pump 2. And again, my parameters default that it's just 1 day, so this is just for today. I can see every time the pump ran, which pump ran, and for how long. So these are some of the real key things, general stuff with Sentry Advisor. Again, I'm going to hit the X here. It's going to bring me back to the main screen for this site. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to hit Dashboard, brings me back to my main screen for all of my sites. Again, if you have one pump, you're just going to have one tile in here. If you had 500 pumps, they're all going to be in here. The benefit is anything in a red is going to populate to the top left corner as a priority item. Then it's going to list oranges next and greens last, because greens typically don't need any immediate attention. I can also look at these in a map format, so if I had a bunch of sites in a town, I could actually click on them and see where each one is. The other thing we can do is generate reports. So I go to a basic pump performance summary. I can decide that I want to run a report, let's say for 1 week. So I'm going to run it from 1 month, 1 week. So I'm going to look to run it from last Friday to this Friday and run a report. And this is going to give me a report for all of my sites. And it's pretty much the same data we were able to see. It's going to have you save that on your drive, and then you can print it out later. You can export it to Excel format, things like that. The other important part is user settings. I can change my username, profile. I can add users to the system so they have their own remote login, things of that sort. But basic things you're going to want to look at is in here in the dashboard, where you can see your sites, see the troubles or alarms, or that, again, green is good. Get into each site, make those changes, and view those pump history logs. So that's all.